The movie begins with a battered and handcuffed man reaching for a cigarette in his pocket. He takes out a tin of tuna from his jacket and opens it while smoking. Alongside him, a kitten emerges from his jacket onto the table. On the opposite side of the table, a man and a woman are interrogating him. This man is Hutch Mansell, leading an ordinary life with his 2 children from his wife, Becca, who is a successful woman. Hutch's uneventful job is at his father-in-law Eddie's metal fabrication company. Increasingly weary of his monotonous routine, Hutch's son, Blake, doesn't show respect or acknowledgement when Hutch returns from work. There appears to be tension between husband and wife, symbolized by a pillow placed between them in bed. As Hutch hears a barking dog outside, he goes to check on things and discovers intruders breaking into his home. Attempting to call for help, Hutch is interrupted by a female intruder who demands money and threatens him with a gun. Hutch notices a tattoo on her wrist. Just as they demand his wedding ring, Blake enters the scene and confronts the intruders. Hutch readies a golf club to defend himself, but ultimately refrains from violence and instructs Blake to release the intruder. They flee after hitting Blake and leaving him with a black eye. Blake's anger at Hutch intensifies, pushing them further apart. The police arrive, leaving Hutch disappointed in himself for not handling the situation better. The family retires for the night, with Hutch sleeping on the couch and his daughter, Sammy, joining him. She's the only one in the family who maintains a positive connection with him and suggests they get a cat. The following day, Blake requests an interview with Hutch for a veterans project, to which Hutch, a mere auditor, responds. Becca suggests asking his uncle, a former soldier, instead. The family leaves for the day, and Sammy shares a hug with Hutch before departing. A neighbor comments on how he would have handled the intruders differently, bragging about his new car. Hutch's mundane week continues, culminating in a conversation with his brother-in-law, Charlie, who questions why Hutch didn't confront the intruders. Charlie provides Hutch with a gun and asks him to protect his sister. Hutch stows the gun in the refrigerator and later discusses a business offer from Eddie. Hutch desires something of his own after a lifetime of hard work. He contacts his supposedly deceased brother, Harry, who reassures him for not resorting to violence against the intruders. Hutch also visits his father, who reflects on Hutch's past self. Upon returning home, Hutch finds his family gathered for dinner. Blake's greeting is minimal, and Becca inquires about his day. Sammy, on the other hand, has unfortunately lost her kitty cat bracelet, which had been placed in the same bowl with the money taken by the intruders. Afterward, Hutch visits his father once again, and his father advises him to perform his upcoming task exceptionally well. Hutch borrows his father's old FBI badge and gun to aid in tracking down the burglars. He proceeds to visit tattoo parlors, showing his badge. However, one person mocks the outdated badge's age. When questioned about his identity, Hutch presents his wallet and dares them to take the cash. The atmosphere shifts when they notice the tattoo on his wrist, leading them to cooperate. Hutch points out a tattoo in a picture, and they provide him with the address of the individual sporting the same tattoo. Hutch arrives at the given address and enters the apartment, pointing his gun at the girl's boyfriend. He demands the return of his watch and Sammy's kitty cat bracelet. The commotion wakes up the couple's sick baby, prompting Hutch to leave. Frustrated and sad, he punches a wall before boarding a bus. Suddenly, the bus is stopped by a vehicle, and 5 thugs approach the closed door. Amid the tension, Hutch stands up and walks through them, instructing the driver to exit the bus. He faces the thugs, removing the bullets from his gun and threatening them. Despite their initial laughter, Hutch's fury ignites, and he violently subdues the thugs, sustaining injuries himself. He exits the bus and apologizes to the driver for the chaos. Returning home, Hutch finds his wife sitting in darkness. She questions his whereabouts, and he recounts the events, likening them to old times. As Becca tends to his wounds, he expresses the emotional distance and lack of intimacy in their marriage. Hutch asks if she remembers who they used to be, prompting Becca to remove the pillow that symbolized their separation on the bed and initiate physical closeness. In the subsequent scene, a passenger verbally berates his driver for missing the destination. Yulian Kuznetsov, a mob enforcer, emerges from the car and enters a club. He takes the stage to sing and dance before engaging with a group of men. Yulian inquires about their satisfaction with security for Abshek, introducing his right-hand man, Pavel. A spokesperson voices doubts about Yulian's capacity as their money guardian due to his singing and dancing. Yulian reacts by killing one of the stakeholders, re-establishing their confidence. He then receives a phone call and is shown standing by his injured brother's bedside in the following scene, suspecting a link between the attack and Abhishek. Another injured man in the room shows Yulian a Metro card he picked up during the bus altercation. The next day, Hutch appears to be in better spirits as he gets ready for the day. He expresses his pride in his son for confronting the intruders. A call comes in from his brother, instructing Hutch to meet a man known as the Barber. He reveals that one of the beaten thugs is the younger sibling of Yulian, a wealthy Russian crime lord. The Barber imparts crucial information to Hutch, noting that Yulian is unaware of Hutch's identity. Despite his disdain for his brother, Yulian is driven to avenge him. The Abhishek operation revolves around millions of dollars in motion, with Yulian currently overseeing it. Yulian learns of Hutch's father's whereabouts at a nursing home and seeks to track him down. Yulian's secretary coerces a Pentagon employee into checking archives for information about Hutch, discovering he's listed as a nobody. Meanwhile, Hutch prepares a cheerful meal for his family and suggests a trip to Italy. He notices an approaching car and urges his family to the basement. Yulian's dogs, led by Pavel, are dispatched to attack Hutch. A confrontation ensues, with Hutch taking down most of the attackers until Pavel incapacitates him using a taser. They transport Hutch, who dislocates his wrists to escape handcuffs, blinds his captors with a fire extinguisher, and causes a car crash. In Pavel's dying moments, Hutch reveals his true identity before rushing home to free his family from the basement. As Hutch races back home, he contacts David and warns him to be cautious. He releases his family from the panic room, protecting Sammy from the sight of casualties in the house. Hutch sends Becca and the children to safety, and she urges him to ensure his return. With the dead and injured on his couch, Hutch begins speaking. He confesses to being a former auditor and assassin employed by intelligence agencies to eliminate those who consider themselves untouchable. He recounts sparing a man he was supposed to kill, only to discover the man's contented new life and family a year later. This revelation prompted Hutch's retirement against the wishes of his superiors. Since retiring, he has strived to distance himself from his shadowy past. Hutch notices a kitty cat bracelet near a pool of blood beneath the radio before departing. Before leaving, he imparts a chilling fact to the deceased: bones turn to ashes at 1,500 degrees without leaving a trace. Hutch reflects, acknowledging that he recognized his life as a facade that endured longer than expected. He understands the need to eliminate all evidence of the recent killings. Setting his house ablaze, he takes a photograph of his family and walks away. The narrative returns to the jackass neighbor who once boasted about his new car to Hutch. Hutch absconds with the very car and drives off. In a different location, two assassins arrive at the nursing home, advancing toward Hutch's father's room. Just as they near, his father dispatches both attackers. In the subsequent scene, Hutch dumps a bag of gold bars onto Eddie's desk, announcing his intention to purchase the company. Meanwhile, Yulian watches news coverage detailing Pavel's demise at Hutch's hands. Hutch temporarily shuts down the factory, his desk adorned with weapons and ammunition. A radio call from Harry prompts Hutch to unveil his plan. He confronts the mob counting Abhishek money, opening fire upon entry. He destroys Yulian's prized artwork and incinerates money before fatally striking a blow. Hutch then heads to the club to confront Yulian, who is ensconced by henchmen. Hutch reveals an explosive device concealed under his napkin, holding the detonator. A tense standoff follows, with Hutch offering Yulian a choice: pursue him or flee with whatever remains. Yulian, incensed, watches as Hutch exits the club. Infuriated, Yulian mobilizes his forces, targeting Hutch at the factory. With David and Harry's assistance, Hutch lays traps and engages in a firefight, eliminating most gunmen except Yulian. A confrontation ensues, resulting in Yulian shooting Harry. Hutch ingeniously attaches a claymore mine to bulletproof glass and detonates it, ending Yulian's life. Expressing gratitude to Harry and David, Hutch awaits the approaching police cars, leaving a heartfelt message for Becca. A kitten appears, and Hutch departs with a painting and the kitten tucked in his jacket. He is subsequently arrested by the police. The story returns to its initial scene as Hutch is quickly released without charges. 3 months later, Hutch and Becca buy a new house and receive a call suggesting his services are still needed. In a mid-credits scene, Harry and David travel to an undisclosed location in an RV laden with weaponry. The movie concludes here. Thank you for watching.